Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:47 a.m. We're now going to be joined by multi-award winning journalist and media personality. That is you, Faisal Patel, but a very, very tired and frustrated Faisal Patel. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Julie, to the listeners, and Jazakallah for the opportunity to share the insight into what's happening in Lenasia South.
And of course, you're a resident of Lenasia South, so you are going to really give it to us exactly as it's happening as we speak. When I chatted to you off air a minute ago, I kind of said to you that it must be so exhausting being without power for 20 hours. And you then corrected me by saying that by now it's possibly 30 hours plus. So, what exactly has happened in that part of Lenasia, and why do we find ourselves in this absolutely ridiculous situation where it seems that no one can give any answers to the residents of what exactly the situation is and how they can go forward in planning their lives, because your lives must all be in disarray as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, for those that are tuned in, and this is something that I've reiterated to City Power and those that have basically been logging the calls, that we need to draw the distinction between Lenasia and Lenasia South. This is Lenasia South. It's a complete different suburb to Lenasia, plus minus 11 kilometers away from Lenasia, more towards Ennerdale and towards Vlakfontein and Zekpark, those areas. So that's where Lenasia South is located. That's one. Secondly, there was load shedding which was implemented by Eskom on Saturday. They were currently on stage 2 and they suspended it slightly and they're going to reinstate it this morning. Now, normally, and this has always been the case, whenever load shedding subsides or when it's suspended in Lenasia South, then the electricity is supposed to normally kick in. But unfortunately, we've had issues in the past where criminals were stealing cables during the outage period because the system is not electrified. Then we had a substation fire about 2, 3 weeks ago, which plunged the area into darkness for close to 4.5 days. And this week on Saturday, when I was at home, then obviously we had some adverse weather conditions. It was quite windy. And for some reason, I think maybe one of the overhead cables, that's according to Eskom, I don't know whether it's legitimate what they're saying or not, but the overhead cable snapped and they needed to replace that particular cable. While they were doing that, then the lightning surge protector, or what they call it, actually blew up. And they
Oh,
showed pictures of it lying on the floor, and they then tried to fix that up. And they said the Eskom team was on site. City Power was not responsible for that aspect of it, and they gave an estimated time of restoration at about 10 o'clock at night. And yesterday and last night, everybody waiting in anticipation for the lights to return. Unfortunately, the lights did not return as anticipated, which I anticipated, and I knew it won't happen. And they then said, no, they are busy repairing the fault and they will work throughout the night. But then there was a conflicting messages going on, because what was City Power was saying was that they are on site, and the counselor for the local community, that her name is Puseletso, she said that no, she's been informed by City Power that they have all gone home and they will continue with repairing the fault this evening. Now, that has been reiterated by the latest statement that I just got about a few minutes ago before going on air, saying they, again, it's stripping. Lenasia South Extension 1, 2, 3, and 4 is currently out. There's no estimated time of restoration. And also, what's very disconcerting is they still have to determine the fault. So that could be anywhere between 1 hour, 2 hours. So I don't anticipate any and sort of eagerness towards electricity returning to the suburb. I know I don't want to jinx it, and it's maybe not what residents want to hear, but I think we need to face the reality of what is actually happening in the ground. And I've had, again, and I'm sure you will come to that, a number of engagements on social media with the officials of the city of Joburg, with no response at all from any official.
Okay, and having said that, let's go to social media. I've got a tweet here from Azar Kasu, and he says, replying to at City Park Johannesburg, it's been over 18 hours now, but we need to correct that. It's probably 36 hours. He
Yes.
goes on to say it's been over 18 hours now, and still you can't deliver at Mpo Palazzi. Deafening silence from this useless mayor. Residents of Lenasia South are fed up now. At Michael's son, 168, also has been silent through this. What is going on? How does overtime pay work on weekends? That's from Azar Kasu.
Yeah,
Faisal?
Azhar is obviously a community member. We meet in the masjid all the time, and one of the things that I've been doing is, I mean, as mainstream media, been trying to engage the mayor, Mpopa, let's say, on social media, asking, why is there no action taken from her to sort of expedite the repairs on this power station? And there's been no response from her at all. And it's just deafening silence, as Azhar rightly mentions. Not even a tweet, no response. The MMC for Infrastructure and Development, Michael Sun, also no response from him at all. And if you remember last week, that the motion of no confidence in Mpo Palazzi was actually withdrawn by the ANC and the EFF as they gathered their thoughts on what step they're going to take forward. But there was a tweet by one of the other African parties who said that the mayor must actually concentrate on giving service delivery as opposed to worrying about whether a motion of no confidence against her. She's been failing the community of Lenasia South continuously. I spoke to a spokesperson about 2 weeks ago. His name is Mabine Siane. And he assured us that they will be doing everything in their power to actually resolve this. And but they haven't. It's just becoming frustrating. And if you see the other tweets, Julie, on social media, you'll see people speaking about rotting food in the fridges. You'll see people speaking about children. Even my own daughter couldn't study last night because there's no lights, and we're using candlelight and torches to actually study. My wife's in Zambia at the moment. My kids hadn't had a decent meal. I had to actually go out and actually buy for them food because we couldn't make a decent cup of coffee. So it's quite frustrating. I'm speaking as a citizen of Lenasia South, as a resident of Lenasia South, and as a journalist, and I'm trying to separate the two issues. One side trying to be level-headed and trying to understand the complexities of this issue, but at the same time, I'm also being frustrated as a resident. And I would think that being in mainstream media, that the City of Joburg officials will be more forthcoming with information to assist. But unfortunately, they've been very, very redundant in their approach to actually assist the community of Lenasia South, which has been plagued by this outage problem for a long, long time. And one just needs to search for Lenasia South on social media under the hashtag, and you'll see that it was trending this morning in the country. And there's thousands and thousands of comments, and yet City Power is giving conflicting information. They're not being forthright with the residents. As I mentioned, the councillor yesterday giving a different version of what is happening in the suburb as opposed to what City Power is saying. And this is really creating confusion, especially as people try to grapple with the power outages at the moment.
It could be a situation of them really genuinely not knowing what's going on. But that doesn't help you as Lenasia South residents, because you need answers. You need these people. They paid for the work they're doing. That's why they are there, and they need to sort themselves out. And they need to, and heads needs to roll. The issue that you raised about Mpo Palazzi, the moment you hear noises about these no confidence votes against her, then they're very quick to respond on social media and all platforms, and very ready to go
Absolutely.
to court as well on those issues. They're very vociferous when that comes up. But why are they not answerable? Why they're not coming to the people? Why she always goes around meeting and greeting people, she's always trying to be visible. Where's she now? Why is she not being visible in your suburb? So those are questions that needs to be asked. And now, for once, I will say no vote of confidence against her. um, these people are getting paid. It's our tax money. perhaps your last, your last call, or uh, the length that you guys need to possibly go to now is threaten court action against them, take them to court. They're not answering to the residents and they need to be accountable. But before you respond to that, let me just read out another tweet. This is from Larissa Singh. And she says, replying to at City Power Johannesburg, person who's getting paid to respond, stop selectively responding. When will electricity be restored in Lenasia South? Over to you, Faisal.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're going to get frustrated residents. I've been inundated with WhatsApps and tweets and people copying me on tweets and that kind of stuff. But again, I think, and I don't want to speak on behalf of her, the one thing that Mpo Palatse did when she was ousted as the mayor of Joburg is, plead on social media with the hashtag Save the City of Joburg. And she rallied residents, please save the city of Joburg. And well, I don't know if anybody came to her support, and now she's been reinstated as mayor, and she tended to just forget everybody else. There's a guy that actually copied me on a tweet to say that he's been 68 hours without water. So, I mean, that's like close to almost 4 days, 5 days. Another person that comes on to your radio station all the time is Catherine Constantinides. She lives in the south of Joburg as well, and they've been out of without electricity for close to 40 hours. So I don't know what Mpo Palatse's plan of action is, but she always seems to be looking for a photo op, posing next to the new pick it up sort of infrastructures and posing next to water towers and that kind of stuff. But she doesn't understand the needs of the people on the ground. The earlier press release that was sent out by City Power said 90% of the electricity in Lenasia South had been restored. But we on the ground have seen, I mean, we can see it, that no electricity has been restored. And she's just sort of disconnected from the community at all. And one of the tweets, and if you scroll through your timeline of tweets, you'll see that people are saying that she shouldn't step foot in Lenasia South. They don't want to see her, or they don't want to see even Michael's son. They're also threatening not to vote for her or for the Democratic Alliance come the next elections. And it's unfortunate because at the time of the elections, they do come there and garner votes and promise a whole world of service delivery. But when it comes time to actually deliver, they don't actually do it. So in the meanwhile, residents unfortunately have to cope with these outages. For me, it's a difficult time. I'm at the offices of the citizen this morning to charge some of my devices and have some internet connectivity and do some work. Obviously going to leave a little later, but earlier enough to avoid the traffic, and then go home to a place of darkness, and then seek, sort of warm up the food on the gas stove for the kids because they'll be coming a little later. And then a lot of people I know that are living close by have rushed out to go buy generators to supplement their electricity or to assist them to keep the lights on. And these generators are now have increased in exorbitant prices, ranging anywhere from between 6 and 7,000 rand for a small little one to up to 10, 15,000 rand to just to power a few items. Also, like I said, there's so many other repercussions. You were speaking about legal action. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are sort of forms on the City Johannesburg website where you can claim for sort of degraded goods or rotten,
Ah,
where you can claim all these things back. But, the time that claim actually gets honored, when they go through the whole red tape and that kind of stuff, I mean, it's going to be forever. You'll probably buy a next set of groceries before then. But the one thing also I want to add is that don't pay your electricity just for 1 month. And you will be, sent letters and you will be sent SMSs, and they're quick to respond to for you to pay your account, but they very, very and procrastinate when they have to actually restore electricity.
absolutely. And of course, if you don't pay your electricity, you know what the consequences would be. They switch you off immediately. They cut you off. So
Absolutely.
you are, you are actually, held prisoner, so to speak. But here they can't give you an honest, straightforward answer. The other question as well is you raised the issue of all losses that you incurred during the time of all of these power outages. Um, I'm pleased to hear that there are mechanisms in place where you can claim. Never mind, it might take a couple of months for you to be reimbursed, but at least there is that leeway that one is afforded. Um, but then going forward, there's also the other issues, like you indicate. There's this, the one thing that we haven't really honed in on here is the safety issues, because it's really a time when criminals can go haywire, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I myself, we live in a crescent, which is in and out close to the masjid. And, I think it was Saturday when we had an incident. I think a few doors away from me, there was two individuals or two suspected people that apparently were roaming in the street. Because of the electricity outage, you can't put your alarm on. I've got three children with me as well. And, you need to be awake all the time to ensure that they stay safe, and you're worried because every little noise in your house, you tend to investigate. You don't know if anybody's climbed into the yard. You don't know if anybody is into the, yeah, that's gone into the ceiling. So the alarm is can't be switched on. Fortunately, we do have security guards, so they are quite vigilant. And yesterday we had another incident where two people were at the car wash, which is in our street close to the masjid, that were trying to break in, and they fled the scene when community members and neighbors rallied. So yeah, the safety aspect is quite worrying. I tried to stay awake, hence I'm so tired this morning. So at least you keep your children safe, and that fatigue is now set in because you're worried, and the alarm is on, and the last thing you want anything to do happen is to your kids. And they were scared. Even my two little boys, they wanted to come sleep with me in my bed because my wife's not there, she's gone to Zambia. So I mean, to keep them safe, the one is just 4 years old and he just couldn't handle it. And he's really 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 scared, worried about somebody breaking into the house or somebody coming to the yard. So it's that safety aspect, and a whole lot of things coupled together. Like I said, it's quite frustrating. I hope, I don't know, and I don't hold any thumbs, but I hope that City Power can, or City of Johannesburg can do something, which I think is very unlikely because they've just been very, very negligent in addressing the serious, serious issue. And I think Lenasia South has become a forgotten community, especially by the mayor, who's supposed to be the first citizen of the city of Johannesburg, but she's been, if you look at her Twitter profile, been attaching Thanksgiving and church services as opposed to putting the priorities of residents first to ensure, or even, and somebody even said she's not an electrician. Good and well, she's not an electrician, but she can expedite the repairs and to ensure that the residents are electrified, or the suburb is electrified, so they don't have to suffer the consequences of rolling blackouts, including those by ESCOM.
Faisal, as collectively as Lenasia South residents and other areas that might have similar situations that you guys are experiencing on the weekend, I also understand this is not the first time that Lenasia South has been without power for such a long time. Apparently, it happened a few weeks ago as well. Is there anything at all you guys can do regarding non-payment of the time you were off? So, as part of your claim, when you claim for all your perished goods, etc., electrical equipment that uh, failed during this time, and you can't reuse the equipment like irons and electric kettles, microwaves, etc. So part of your claim, could you try and work out a figure of City Power not having supplied electricity, work out how many days you were without the electricity, and then put a claim forward to them to get a rebate? Because that,
Yeah,
I think once we start doing that, once they start feeling that pinch, we need to be very proactive and put our foot down. If you're not supplying the electricity, if you're not supplying the water, we refuse to pay.
yeah, look, I mean, they've got mechanisms in place to actually claim for sort of power surges on certain items, whether it's your irons or televisions. But I think the residents also need to be proactive with regards to ensuring they have power surge protectors on their devices. I normally unplug everything from my wall sockets when there's outages like this. But with regards to getting a rebate on your electricity account, remember that you have a meter that's turning all the time, that's recording the wattage that you're using.
Ah,
So if the light is if the lights are out or if there's a power outage, that meter is not turning. I have seen, I can't speak on behalf of anybody else, but me personally, I have seen a reduction in electricity. They'll tell you, it doesn't come as high as normal. But assuming that you've been out now for 5 days or 6 days or even 10 days without electricity, and you're still getting a bill of 2,500 rand when it's supposed to be coming normal 1,600 rand, you can then ask them for a detailed breakdown of the electricity usage per day. And assuming they charge you on the days that the electricity was out, then obviously that would constitute a valid claim. And I'm sure there are documents on their website which will assist in claiming that back from City Power. But like I said, it's such a tedious process with
Yeah.
regards to that. There's so much red tape involved that while you can put in a claim and it might take months and months to actually, reimburse you with that claim, you can put it in, but don't expect anything in a hurry. But again, just to overall and sum it up, is that the Julie Sotheby, who's the finance, if I'm not mistaken, the finance MMC, when she presented the budget, I think last or in this year sometime, increased the electricity tariffs for refuse and everything else. So, like I said, they're quick to increase these things, but when it comes to actually providing services, unfortunately, they don't come to the party. And one of them, and the main citizen. And like I said, if the tweets as it goes by, everybody copying Mpo Palazzi on the tweet, if they expect any response from her, I think it's very, very unlikely that she will respond when she can't even respond to media, including the MMC Michael's son. So her last tweet was like almost 7 hours ago, where she apparently attended a church service or a Thanksgiving, while the Lenasia South were sitting with rotten food in their fridges. What is it thankful for them to be when they got nothing, and she's sitting and having turkey?
Okay, we're going to wrap up now. I've got about a minute or two to wrap up. Let me just share another tweet with you, and then, gosh, this is just such a terrible situation you guys find yourselves in. Okay, Nisha JC, at Nisha V143 goes on to tweet at City Power Johannesburg, still no lights in Lenasia South, 34 hours without lights. Everywhere else has been restored. And then one from Faisal Patel himself at Lenasia South, trending in South Africa as the suburb continues to suffer more than 30 hours without power. There has been no response from Mayor Adam Palazzi or at City of Johannesburg ZA on the residents' plight, with at City Power Johannesburg sharing alleged misleading information. Over to you, Faisal Patel, to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that tweet was just put on this morning. Before I came on air this morning, I was actually writing an article on an update about regarding the power outage. But just to sum up, I think it's a disastrous situation at the moment. Just a few weeks after the power station was set ablaze by, well, who knows what or what criminal element. But I think going forward, the mayor needs to be pro-action. I think her promises of service delivery and saying that she's going to assist needs to come to the fore, because I can tell you, and you can see from the social media posts, that their reactions, they've been completely isolated and alienated by the mayor and the current DA government, which is in power in the city of Joburg. I can tell you one thing, that if she comes to the city of Lenasia South, she's going to be really get very, very angry residents. They don't want her there, number one. They don't want the MMC there, and she's going to be met with very volatile reception when she does come there. And in the meantime, there's even tweets about people actually burning down the substation so that City Power can spend millions and millions of rands buying a
Oh,
new one and buying new equipment that can actually ensure that the lights permanently stay on. City Power misleading information, well, it's quite prevalent. You've seen on the social media, it's just unlikely. And like I said, as being mainstream media, I am not getting feedback from the officials. It's very unlikely that community members or even residents will likely get information.
okay. Faisal Patel, that's all we have time for. We do hope that the residents don't get pushed to the point where they're so angry that they burn down that power station. Two wrongs don't make a right. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. But of course, multi-winning, journalist and media personality who is also a colleague of mine here at Salam Media. Lovely talking to you, and duas, inshallah, that your situation in
Inshallah.
Lenasia South does improve and does get resolved totally. Nice having you on the
Jazakallah
show this
Julie.
morning. Shukran and salam alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
It is exactly 12 after 9, and we are going to take a very short break and go straight into the news bulletin with our news correspondent. That, of course, is Yusai Jadwid. Inshallah, we'll be hearing from you in less than a minute.